Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is Virtual Nunchucks, and I'm going to give you my review or my thoughts on the Spider-Man DLC. Now, as you can see, okay, I have, according to this, have done 65% of Silver Lining, but that means that I have completed the story, but not all side activities. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the plot of the DLC, and we have dramatic music in the background. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. But we have dramatic DLC. We have dramatic music, rather. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on the DLC. Now, I am not live, and here's why. Okay? I am not live, and I am not on camera, and I have a couple of reasons for that. So let me go into the main story here. Hold on. Maybe. So we can maybe do without some of this stuff. I mean, I appreciate the dramatic music, but it is what it is. Normally I would do this with my son Ryan, but he says he's not done with it yet, and I don't want to keep waiting, because it's been out for almost a month. And I don't want to keep waiting to give thoughts and reviews on what we played. Still one of my favorite suits. Of course, this was before they did the Raimi suit too, so don't hate on me too much. All right, but anyway, I have played all three.
The ceremony for Officer Davis hasn't started yet.
Okay, let's do this. I have done all three. Okay. I have played all three DLC. I have played the heist to its completion. I 100%ed that particular version. I have played Turf Wars, and I did almost all of that. I did do, obviously, the whole campaign, the story missions, and that. And then, of course, the story missions on Silver Lining. So here's my thoughts. First off, the first obvious question is it worth the money? Should I pay to have extra DLC on the game? Now, when I purchased this game, in all disclosure, in all fairness, I purchased a digital deluxe edition. Actually, my son did, because it was something that he wanted. So we purchased the digital deluxe edition. He did with his own money. He saved up money, and this is what he wanted, so this is what he got. Okay. So with that, we got all of the DLC, along with a couple of bonuses like a lapel pin and things like that that came with it. Now, speaking of which, I should review that pin too. The pin itself, I will show it to you sometime on camera. Do not let me forget. But the pin itself is completely, totally awesome. They did a good job. It looks amazing, and I wish that we hadn't, he wanted to wear it on his suit for church one night, or one day. So, on a Sunday, he pulled it out of the package, and I wish he hadn't, because it actually looked really cool in the package, too, because it had a really nice background. But anyway, so, full disclosure, again, it came with all the DLC. I have to say that the heist, they built it up really. It was very well written. The characters were believable. Black Cat returns in the heist, obviously, and you have to basically help her. I won't spoil it. You basically have to help her with a dilemma that she has. She's tied up with the mafia and has a deal with the mafia, and they've threatened to kill someone very close to her if she does not do what they ask. So she has so the first thing you do, of course, is get involved in a heist. You rob a art gallery, and Spider-Man, of course, being Spider-Man, tries to stop her from doing that, tries to find out why she's doing that, because she was supposed to have gone clean and all that stuff. And it just ensues from there. They're just like in the main story, in the main campaign of the game. There are very well written one-liners. There is engageable characters. The plot itself for why she's having to heist, why she's having to do, is very well written. And there is a very explosive finale to that DLC that leaves you wondering if things are going to turn out okay in the end. I think that it's worth. I think that the problem that I had with the heist itself, maybe, was not so much the writing or the pacing or the characters, because it's more Spider-Man. The combat is still there. Side activities are still there. The only thing that I don't like about it is that because it's side activities and because they already built certain side activities into the main game, it's basically just a rebranding and a rehashing of the side activities. Instead of pulling over random thugs in the city, you're pulling over mafia thugs. Instead of, instead of stopping bank robberies, you're just basically stopping mafia thugs. They'll say the or whatever the mob family. Shoot. Anyway, whatever the mob family's name is, and I can't even remember now. They'll say, "Thug spotted at so and so. Please proceed there immediately," or whatever, with a police scanner. And there's a few side activities, a few side stories that actually tie into that a little bit. There's a couple things where maybe you're rescuing an informant, or maybe you're maybe you're trying to get some tapes or whatever. The best part of that is investigating the crime scenes on the side activities. The best part of that is investigating the crime scenes. I'm sorry, the crime scenes are on the next one. One of the neat parts about the side activities for the heist, and I'm sorry, I can't believe I got them all mixed up, but anyway, the heist, one of the neat parts about it is, according to one of the side activities, and again, I won't spoil anything for you, but it does tie into the story, it ties into the narrative, and it gives you some background on the character. There is a retired, or soon-to-be retired, police officer that's asking you to find paintings from the first Black Cat, which was Felicia's father, and and he asked you to find the paintings because that was the one case, or the one thing that he could not tie up in his entire career, and he would like to have it tied up. So you, as Spider-Man, try to find these paintings, and they're scattered all over the city, kind of like the backpack missions, and kind of like the backpacks and everything. And they show, just like the backpacks, they show up on the map, so you should be able to find them just fine, with no trouble. But the thread behind that is an actual interesting one. It gives a lot of background to Black Cat. It gives a lot of background as to why she is a cat burglar, why she does the things she does, and it also gives you background on her family previous to that, because her father was the original Black Cat. It's really neat. So that was engaging. As a Spider-Man fan, I enjoyed that. That was completely awesome. And of course, Jonah Jameson, still very funny in this whole thing, because as the story progresses in the DLC, he gives clips and things in his little podcast show. Still great voice acting there, great written dialogue there. I appreciated every single solitary moment of it. It was just classic Spider-Man stuff. The villains are portrayed really well. Hammerhead is actually the one that is after Felicia in the heist, and so at the end of the explosive finale, you see Hammerhead for once, and then it tells you immediately after that it will be continued in the Turf Wars. And in Turf Wars, the story picks up that Hammerhead is attempting to become the best mob boss, or the toughest mob boss, or the leading crime family in the city. And so he's kind of having a war with other factions, other mob bosses, and you're kind of stuck in the middle of it. And not only that, but Yuri shows up, and Yuri's trying to help you wrangle all this mob activity, trying to help you stop it. The side activities get a little bit harder in the heist. They said, Insomniac Games, I love you guys, okay, but they said that they were going to try to make it a little more challenging, and I have to say that they succeeded in that. Okay, there were a few times where I wanted to throw my controller through the TV, and I'm not that type of gamer. I don't get uptight about a whole lot of things as far as that goes. But there were a few times that I actually wanted to throw my controller through the TV, because it was just so difficult. And it wasn't so much that it was difficult as that there are a lot more, like for example, when you go to the hideout missions for Hammerhead, what you're trying to do is recover stolen Sable tech. Okay, stolen Sable tech that Hammerhead has stolen from Sable International after Sable left and basically evacuated the city or whatever. He stole all the tech and is trying to take over the underworld of the city with stolen Sable tech. So the side activities, as far as like the bases, tie into that narrative, because every single one of these bases is stolen weapons from Sable, and if you can clean those up, you return those to the proper authorities and the proper people who own them. However, of course, Hammerhead is being Hammerhead. He has backup plans for backup plans, and he basically destroys half the city trying to stop you from stopping him. And it's really neat. The story is very engaging. The characters are likable. There's one particular mission that jumped out at me. You do get to go with your spider drone and do a little espionage at the bar with no name, which if you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll know that that is the bar that every villain in the city hangs out at in the canon, and you actually get to go inside and explore it with your little Spidey drone while you're spying on the mob, and it's really neat. One of the neatest battles is with Hammerhead himself. I won't spoil anything, but I had visions of 1980s, some of the best cop movies in the world. Okay, and there is an explosive ending again to the, actually I should say a shocking ending, because it is quite shocking, ending to the second chapter, where it involves Yuri, because again, she's trying to help you collar Hammerhead. She's trying to help you stop all the mafia crime in the city. She's trying to help you stop I can't talk today, y'all, just forgive me, but she's trying to help you stop all this crime, and specifically trying to get Hammerhead behind bars. That's her job. And so it's a very personal story. It's very well written. It's a very personal cop drama story. From her perspective, she has personal reasons why she wants to bring down Hammerhead, and she wants to bring him to justice. And and it's very personal. There's more one-on-one time with Yuri, with Spider-Man. You get a little more glimpse into what makes her character tick. You get a lot more personal one-liners. Spider Cop, I think, makes a return once or twice, maybe, in the game. And then, of course, you get a lot more one-on-one. And I liked Yuri as a character. Yuri, they built out Yuri a lot in that particular DLC, and I appreciated that. It was very well written. So the story itself, again, if you didn't do anything else, if you didn't do the side activities, if you didn't do anything else, the side activities are worth, or rather the story itself is just worth the DLC, because it's just more Spider-Man, and who doesn't love that? Okay. The side activities. Screwball, by the way, makes a return in all 3 DLC. Okay. Great. Of course my phone rings. Hold on. I'm going to edit these together. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Sorry about that. We had a phone call from Virtual Mom, and I always answer those because who knows what's going to happen with her. Could be doctor's appointments, could be anything. Because we're still waiting to hear from our surgeon to schedule surgery. Actually, our scheduling department to schedule our surgery for her. Not the surgeon. The surgeon said it's necessary, it's needful, and they're going to call you next week. I was kind of hoping that today being Thursday, they'd get a jump on it, but they didn't. My wife is caught in traffic because there was a major accident involving a semi-tractor trailer who either jackknifed or flipped his truck, and traffic's not moving. So it's rather entertaining to listen to my wife bicker about that kind of stuff. And she was bored, and so she needed a few minutes. So I'm going to piece this edit together and go ahead and finish the review for the DLC. Now, I think I mentioned to you in the Turf Wars that the story itself picks up and is very personal to Yuri and Spider-Man and things like that, and it's very important, and there is a shocking conclusion. Again, I won't ruin it for you, but things don't happen the way you think they ought to happen, and characters don't always go the way you think they're going to go. This particular second portion of the DLC was very shocking in that characters did not behave the way I thought they were going to behave. They didn't. The story arc for that second part didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, the way it looked like it was going to go. And I was very surprised. It was very well written. Side activity Screwballs, again, like I said, appears in all 3 DLC, and they did make it harder. They promised to make the second one harder, and they did do that, and I told you I was ready to rage quit a couple of times. The side activities for Screwball are very, very difficult this time. Some people can do it, and that's fantastic. Right now I can't, so I quit trying. Different side activities are harder because of the type of enemy that you're dealing with. Like I said, stolen sable tech, things like that. So there's different enemy types that you deal with. Flying mobsters with shields and jetpacks is just not cool, especially when they act like the jet troopers from the main campaign, and some of them are just ridiculously hard. It's not so much the enemies themselves as the number of enemies that they throw at you at one time. It makes it very, very difficult sometimes. That being said, the side activity that it does tie together. Like I said, if you do those, it ties together with the story, recovering Sable Tech, things like that. I think it's important. Also, you can also investigate certain crimes done by the mob to gather evidence against the mob family that you're fighting against, Hammerhead and his family. So that ties into the story really nice. And there's a little, there's every once in a while there's when you find these crime scenes, there is a little tape recorder with a mob thug or hitman or whatever he is, talking to his therapist about his job, and they are coy about it because the therapist is trying to figure out what he's doing, and the thug's trying to word it a different way, and finally gives up and tells him what he does. But because of doctor-patient confidentiality, he's okay. Anyway, it's a funny exchange of dialogue. I think those are worth doing. But like I said, I didn't do them all because some of them are reskins, because either it's a mob kidnapping, which is the same thing as a guy in a trunk from the main campaign. It's beating up an informant, which is the same thing as a mugging in the main campaign. And there's just different things like that all over the place that are just rehashes. However, the way they have written some of those makes it worth it. But again, the story was completely worth it. The problem that I have is with Silver Lining, the last DLC that they put out. The last DLC they put out, Sable comes back to take back her tech because she realizes that Hammerhead and his goons have stolen it and are starting to use it. So she's determined, no matter the cost, to get her equipment back. I did like the character arc that she took. Sable's character, you discover a little bit more about her. You discover why she does what she does, the things she does, why she started Sable International in the first place, why she's so bent on being Sable. I don't know how else to say it. You understand why she has such a hard exterior, I guess, and why she's such a hard person. You understand her motivations a little bit more because it's a personal story for her in that, and she and Spider-Man have to try to work together to finally collect all the the stolen tech and stop Hammerhead and his family from using it. And there's supposedly a big payoff and stuff like that. And again, I had flashes back to the 1980s. And I think I even said it in one of my streams. So if you haven't seen my stream of all 3 of these DLC, I have streamed every single one of these main story DLC for you. They're on the internet. They're on the channel. You can check them out. But I wouldn't recommend doing that if you haven't played it yet, because I really don't want to spoil it for you. The problem, like I said, I do have a few problems with the last DLC. One of them being, and I don't want to spoil it, but there is a story arc that they started with Yuri, and they started with Spider-Man, and they started to tie it all together because it ties into the first one. It ties the second one really nicely. And then it just abruptly drops. Yuri's storyline, with the exception of a little quip at the beginning. I think what they were trying to do is set it up for a sequel for Spider-Man PS5 or whatever they're going to do, okay? Point being is, I think they were trying too hard to set it up for a sequel for the next game in the third act, and so they just dropped certain plot points that they had been building, and I don't know what happened. It's not that conclusion to the Hammerhead story is bad. It's not that at all. The Hammerhead story was pretty neat, all the way up until the end there, where I was really confused where they were trying to go with it. But they, like I said, they dropped Yuri completely. They mentioned her at the beginning, but that was it. And you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what happened to her. And you have to understand, you'd have to play it. You'd have to play the previous DLC to understand why I'm confused and why I'm a little upset about it. Because that was so good. And the first thing I said at the end of Turf Wars was, oh my goodness, what are they going to do with her? And you have to play it to understand why I say that. And then they just drop her. Because they're looking for a sequel, because they had other plans and something didn't happen. I don't know. And I'm not the only person who thought that. I've looked at other reviews after I played it. I even Googled it to try to figure out, okay, what happens with Yuri? Is there something that I missed? Should I have done all the side activities? Should I have done all the little whatever? And I'm not the only one that feels that way, because apparently they just dropped her entirely, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because it was so strong. The first 2 acts were so strong in the DLC, and then the third one just drops. It wasn't that it wasn't good. Please understand. The story itself, the resolution of Sable's issues, I guess, and the resolution of the Hammerhead arc itself, it's not the best I've ever seen, but it was good. It was worth the payoff. I mean, there was a payoff at the end, and it was worth it. I gotta say, it was comical to me because I'm an older gamer, because I'm 40 years old, and because I've seen different things. And the first thing I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you go back on my stream, I'll even make a couple of 80s movies references because, well, it just reminds me of that. So go back and look at those if you want to see, because it's there in its entirety. All of the DLC is streamed live. We did it in a couple hours, and everything. It's there. So if you want to see it, go. But if not, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'll let you play it on your own. I do recommend that you play it. I do recommend that you. It's what, 20-something bucks for all three. If you didn't get the digital deluxe edition, is it worth that? The combat's tight. It's more Spider-Man, and the story is not bad. The story is pretty well written, but I do think that they dropped the ball on the last one. I think they were trying to wrap it all up and give it a nice little bow and make it a little more cheery or whatever, and something happened at the end where there's a few loose ends that I wish they just went ahead and tied up and explained, but they didn't. And so I'm wondering if they're waiting for the sequel to give certain plot lines in the sequel. I don't know. I have no idea, because I'm not Insomniac Games. So Insomniac, I'm looking at you because we loved the game. The game was awesome. In my opinion, it was a good contender for Game of the Year. It should have at least come in second. Should have won a lot more awards than it did because it was awesome. But I don't understand why did you do that in the Silver Lining? Why did you go from something that was a complete, total cop drama and a complete, total awesome package and then just drop something entirely awesome to pick up Sable? You could have done both. That would have been the massive payoff because Sable's story was good. Hammerhead's story was good. But I still don't know what happens to Yuri. I still don't know why she's doing some things she's doing or what's going to happen to her. And I want to know, and you just left me hanging. You just left me hanging. It's not right, man. It's not right. But overall, I do recommend that you buy it. I do recommend that you play it because, hey, look, it's just more of the same. And who didn't love this game? When I say more of the same, the combat is still tight. The suits, man. If you haven't seen the Raimi suit, on the free update, you need to do that. You need to play with the Raimi suit. That brings me back to Tobey Maguire days, and that brings me back to, that suit was awesome to me. Because it was a nice spin on Stan Lee's original design. It was totally awesome. But anyway, that's just me. I recommend that you buy it. But I would recommend, if you're still on the fence about it, if this helped you at all, but you're still kind of, I don't know if I want to spend $25 on it. I totally get that, but at least you're not having to pay $60 for it. Or in the case of Black Ops 4 Battle Pass, $49.99, or even Uncharted. Uncharted was what, when it first came out, it was $40, I think. Now it's down to $30. Uncharted Lost Legacy. It's still cheaper than all of those, and it's a Sony exclusive. And it's more Spider-Man, and more story, and more playing around in the virtual Manhattan that they've created. And the characters are still spot on. I just had a little hang up with the story at the end there. I don't know what they're trying to do. It's worth your time. You can leave me a comment or a like or whatever. You can leave me a comment and let me know how you think the side activities were. To me, they were a little more difficult and a little more frustrating than in the main campaign, which I get why people want challenges. I get that. Okay. but to me they were just a little over the top, even on like this, even on the amazing difficulty, which is where I play. I don't ever try to play, like anything higher than the, I don't go for the very hard or the crushing or whatever they call it. I don't do that because I have a disability, so it's hard enough for me to do certain controls and certain things. So I try to make it as challenging for me and still enjoy the game. And I was getting frustrated to the point where I thought about playing it on friendly, which is the lowest level you could possibly play. And I don't know. To me, it just it was difficult. So you can leave me a comment. Let me know if you thought it was difficult, if it was more challenging, if you enjoyed it. But that's my 2 cents. That's what I thought about it. So, there you go. If you like what you saw, and if you're new around here, subscribe, because you never know what I'm going to do around here. From opinion pieces to reviews to gaming with you live to playing with you guys live. I will give you a little bit of heads up. We are going to do a subscriber special. I have finally hit double digits, and for some of y'all, you're like, double digits, please. I did that like, my first 2 weeks. Okay. For me, that's a big deal. I've been doing this since August, and it's now January, and I have 11 subscribers actually. We crossed into 11 subscribers, which was totally awesome. Thank you for that. You guys are awesome. You rock. And to celebrate 10 subscribers, 11 subscribers, I want very much to do a special with you guys. But keep in mind that my ear infection is still making it. Before, I couldn't hear out of my left ear. Okay, I was deaf. But now that it's starting to clear up, I'm extremely sensitive to all noises, which is why I use, a lot of times don't use a headset or use the mic on the PlayStation camera. But I haven't gone live on the PlayStation camera because of all the background noise. And I did try what someone said to me. Try turning down the music and all that stuff. And I did try that and recorded it as a test to see what it would sound like, and it still was giving me echoes and stuff, and I don't want to do that because I want to put out quality content for you guys. I want to be able to put out some neat quality content. So I use my headset a lot, and because of my ear infection, I can't use that right now. It's starting to clear up, so it's made it everything very, very sensitive. I'm supposed to go back on Monday, I believe. So I may have to move my stream. I don't even know. For Twitch, I may have to do that because I have to go back on Monday, and they're gonna check my ears to make sure everything is getting back to normal, and to see if they can do anything about the sensitivity. Because I called them and I checked and said, hey, you gotta fix this, because now I can't even do the stuff that I love to do. So there's that. I am gonna do some kind of special. I am also not. Well, I'll put it in another update. But you guys enjoy. I hope you enjoyed my review. I hope this helps somebody decide what they want to do as far as the DLC. I hope that it helps you guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, drop a like, leave me a comment, subscribe if you're new again, ring the bell so that you don't miss any content on the channel at all. And then, of course, keep in mind that we will be live on Twitch if everything goes well on Monday. If not, I will simply change the date and let you guys know this weekend. Okay? Even though I don't ever do anything on the weekend, I'll have to do something over the weekend to let you know, because Monday's the 14th, and I'm excited, but at the same time, I've got to take care of myself. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at VNunchucks. And then, of course, Facebook.com/virtualnunchucks. And here on YouTube, YouTube.com, Virtual Nunchucks. And, of course, Twitch.tv/Virtual Nunchucks. If you follow me over there, it's free. Just follow me, because I'm going to be playing with followers. I'm going to be playing with subscribers on YouTube. I'm going to be doing all of that. But you got to follow me. If you're not following me, if you're not subscribed, I'm not playing with you. Not that I don't love the community, not that I don't want to play with randoms, not all that stuff, but I'm trying to build a community of people who enjoy games. So follow me, do all that good stuff, and we will see you guys later. We appreciate all of you. Hope you have a great day. Love your families because you only get one. You know that's my motto. Love them all. Try to do the right thing because we only get one life. We only get one family, and we only really get one shot at this. So just make it as best you can. And I will see you guys on the next review. And I'm going to post a channel update a little bit later as well to let you know what is coming for this channel and the subsequent Twitch channel starting next week. Thank you very much. See you guys.